Welcome to DB CyberTech. I'm Sean, and in this video, we'll be walking through the compliance product. Let's get started, shall we? So first, let's log in. All right, now let's go to compliance and click GDPR. So this will take you to the GDPR summary page. Now you may be asking, well, what's the GDPR? The GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation, which is a European regulation passed in 2014 and it took effect in May of 2018. What the GDPR requires is that companies that are in the European Union have to know where all the PII is in their network. And what PII stands for is Personal Identification Information, which includes all sorts of sensitive information like birthdays, phone numbers, email and home addresses, medical record numbers, and most importantly, social security numbers. Essentially what the GDPR does is hold companies accountable to knowing what sensitive information is in their networks. In other words, it's to help them understand what really is lost if they get hacked. So although this only applies to European companies, California recently passed the California Consumer Privacy Act in 2018, which mirrors the GDPR, but for the United States. Now, why I say the United States is that because the California Consumer Privacy Act of 2018 makes it so that any company that has customers in California must adhere to these same requirements. So essentially, if you have a customer, a single customer in California, you have to adhere to these same standards. And practically every single company in the nation has customers in California. So theoretically, everyone should be adhering to these laws by January of 2020, or otherwise you can face hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines or even millions of dollars in fines. Most recently, Equifax just got hit with a $650 million fine due to its data breach a couple years ago. Now, why am I saying all this? Well, our compliance product essentially shows you everything that the GDPR and California Consumer Privacy Act of 2018 requires you to know all on one page. So let's take a look at it. So first, over here, we have matches. Matches are all the different kinds of personal identification information, or PII, that are classifier found within your network. How you read this is by looking at each of these individual tags is a piece of PII. So for example, someone's identity card, someone's social, as in like a social security number, was found within this data. The total occurrences tells you how many different times a social was found in a database or a service. Now, you can also look at it by the services, which are directly underneath the matches. And what's even cool is that you can actually click on the services and it will expand the details. So, if you could see under this ledger service, for example, someone's birthday was found 2 different times, someone's gender was found 2 different times, and someone's earnings were found 2 different times within the service. So up here in the corner, we have our options toolbar. Let me go through what each of these buttons does. So you can export the matches to a CSV file. A CSV file usually just translates to an Excel file. So, for example, all the different PII that was found within the different databases is all on one spreadsheet, and it also has the occurrences as well. You can also export the databases in the same way. In this view, it has all the services and all the different matches of PII and the different service that it's on. So Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle are the most common usually. You can also export the findings to a PDF, and this is all inclusive. So this has an overview and then has both the matches as well as the database services, all on one form. Now over here, we have user-defined terms and exclusions. Let's go through these. So the user-defined terms, these are various terms that are sought by the classifier when searching for PII in the system. The system will automatically have default terms to look for when it comes to PII, but you as a user can add in your own terms as well. There's a couple different ways that you can add a term. You can do it through add new abbreviation or SQL identifier. So what this does is it tells the classifier to look directly at the SQL for personal identification information. Or you can add a new word, phrase, or concept which tells the classifier to look at the translation of the SQL and look for PII. So maybe not necessarily in the actual coding, but what it translates to. So for example, business address, employee ID, etc. And under exclusions, these are different ways in which the classifier will actually exclude a certain term from the results. Usually exclusions are just for testing purposes, mainly so that you can see if the classifier actually identifies certain terms or doesn't. So if you want to exclude something, these are all the different terms that the classifier will look for automatically. You can click this little button over here and exclude it from the results. Now, if you go to match exclusions, you can actually add it back in as well. This concludes the compliance product walkthrough. For more information and help, please contact DB CyberTech Technical Support at their email, support@dbcybertech.com, or by their phone, 1-800-375-0592. Again, that's support@dbcybertech.com or 1-800-375-0592. I'm Sean from DB CyberTech. We'll see you soon.